Hello again, everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build out a task planner in Army 365. And the purpose of the video is in order to create a space where you can assign tasks to individuals within a team. For this one in particular, it's going to be in regards to the Army Vantage fielding that we're doing this summer. And basically, I want to make sure that everybody knows what the dates are, when stuff is due, and when the tasks are due associated with that. So first, I'm going to go to the team where that is. And I already built the tab here, but I'm going to go ahead and delete it and then show you how to do that just from scratch. So as you can see from what I'm doing, first you need to go to the team. And the second thing, once this is done, that you're going to do is you're going to add a tab. That you can do with this little plus sign here. And then I'm going to go to Planner, click on Planner. I really don't want to post to the channel about this tab yet. I'll do that in a more specific and directed way by the time it is finished. So I'm going to create a new plan. And the name of the plan is simply going to be AV Fielding about fielding tasks. That's already in the team that has to do with the Army Vantage fielding. No need to be redundant in this instance. Okay, so the first set of tasks that I'm going to build out have to do with the phases of this fielding. Some of them are already passed, but just for the sake of showing you how to do this from the beginning. So as you can see, one of the buckets that they call them, that's the default, is called to do, but I'm going to call this the fielding timeline phases. Okay, the first one that I'm going to type in there is, so there was already an order published for this, and one of the enclosures is the fielding timeline. So basically what I'm doing is just capturing data that's already been published and trying to put it in a collaborative space where more people will be able to see it, but also I can assign these tasks to individuals to complete, and then they will have to go in the system and manage their completion. So it's kind of like other task managers out there, except there's more accessibility to this one than the other ones like TMT. There's a restricted number of accounts for that. This one, everybody has access to Army teams. Even if you're an organization outside the Army, a lot of businesses have MS teams as well. So this one is combined phases 1 and 2. Now, when you initially type in a task, it just asks you for one date. It asks you for the due date. But after it's created, you can go back in and have it cover a block of time, which makes a lot more sense, especially when you're talking about phases. So this one was basically from April of 2021 through May of 2021. And it may give me an error message saying that it's already completed, but I'm going to go ahead and click Add Task. Anyway, okay, so it highlights it in red, which is fine. Now I'm going to go in here and click in, and just like I was saying before, I can change the start time. So I want to make the start time April. I'm going to say April 1st. And this is something like just like I'm doing right now. I'm going back and I'm putting in this information because our organization just recently got Microsoft Teams, but maybe in the future, there's some other fielding that's going to be very similar to this. And somebody can go back and look at this for historical reference to kind of gauge how long that a fielding similar to this would take. And then it's in phases. So what I would do ideally as well is under the notes section, I would type in all the notes associated with the phases. And I'm not going to do all of that, but I'm going to start typing some of it so that I can have like a memory jogger when I go back in and build this out. So that's good enough for now. I don't want to click on show on card, but if there were like a short summary for that task, maybe this would be a good place for you to put it, and then click on show on card, and then it'll show up under the board view of your task tab. Okay, so you can see in here, you can assign it to different bucket, assuming that I had different buckets, which I don't yet. You can add a label. Of course, you can change the names of these from these default colors to something else that has to do with that specifically. So let's start with this one. And instead of calling it pink, I'm going to call it the name of the bucket, because there may be other tasks that are associated with this that I want to assign to other individuals. And if I create the category for it now, then I can lump that into the category, which will help in the future. So I'll go ahead and build out the other ones too. So phases 1 and 2, and then I'm going to say phase 3. Phase 4. Phase 5. All right. Okay, so that's good. That's good for now. All right, progress. It's completed, so I'm going to mark it as complete. But that eliminates it off of the board. So I'll say in progress right now, and then when I get everything built out, then I'll update it fully. You can adjust the priority. There's urgent, important, medium, and low. I'm going to leave it on the default. Checklist. So this would be the tasks associated with this. So in this instance, there are several requirements that go out to different organizations for each phase. So I might need to build that out like at a lower level and not here specifically, because right now I just want to build out the phase area that is taking up the dates on the calendar. All right, and then we could add an attachment if you want to. So sure, how about I add the enclosure from the order. Okay, so that's going to show the timeline. You could see it kind of pops up as a thumbnail right there. And that's, of course, if you have show on card, or you can uncheck it and then it won't show. I'm going to go ahead and leave it because it looks kind of cool. And then people can kind of see, oh, that looks like a timeline. Maybe I should click on that to get more information. All right. So that looks good to go for now. Go ahead and close that. And I add the next task, which I'm going to do the same thing. So this one's going to be phase 3, and phase 3 ends June So this is already passed as well. We're going to build it out for the same reasons that I mentioned before. Phase 3. All right, and that started at the end of phase 2. So basically beginning of June. So it's for the month of June. Add label. Phase 3. Can add an attachment and add the same attachment. It's a little bit redundant, and so maybe I don't need to show it on the card. So I'm going to uncheck that. Okay. And phase 4 goes from beginning of July to the end of August. Oh, I did that wrong, but that's fine. You can always go in and adjust the dates later. And the reason that I keep on putting the attachment on here of the timeline is because, as you saw before, when I clicked on complete for the task, then it disappeared off of the bucket list. So I want to make sure that I have those files already attached, and then I can always go in after we get past phase 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, etc. Then I can go back in and click show on card, so it'll show the little thumbnail of the timeline. Whoop. Phase 4, some of you caught that. Okay, and then the last phase, phase 5. Then, so this starts beginning of September and is pretty much ongoing, but I'm just going to take it through the end of the calendar year. Oh, I did the same thing again. I put the due date in the wrong spot. Okay. And then label, phase 5, okay. Add attachment, file. All right. I don't want to show it on the card. Great, okay. So we're set with that. Now, here's the cool thing. So if you go to schedule, and you can see where everything is on the calendar right now. So as you can see, we're actually in phase 4. Technically, we finished up phase 3 at the end of last month. Oh, you know what? Phase 3, actually the date is through the end of July. I read that wrong. Okay, too easy. Just go in and change it. See how easy this is? And then the other thing that we need to change, obviously, is going to be the beginning of phase 4. So I'm going to close that out. The calendar's freaking out a little bit here. It's like you have 2 phases happening at the same time. No, not anymore. Okay, boom, done. And as you can see too, you could change the view a little bit if you need to. Okay, so again, we're in phase 3. Now, so this is a little bit more important when you have multiple tasks going on. But if you assign them to individuals within your team, then you'll see like they'll have certain tasks that they'll be responsible for doing. It shows you how you set their priority for the different tasks. There's only one right now. It's the fielding timeline phases, and honestly, that's not tasks at all. But I'll show you through an example. So I'm going to add a new bucket, and I'm going to call this one phase 1 and 2. Say suspenses. Okay, and then I'm going to make another bucket. That's phase 3 suspenses. And another one, phase 4 suspenses. You know what? That's kind of a weird word. The more I say it, the more it sounds weird. So I'm going to change it. Erg. So there's two ways that you can rename it. You can click on it like that, or go over here to the ellipses and click on rename. And basically, I just highlighted this. Control C is a keyboard shortcut for copying, and then Control V is a keyboard shortcut for paste. So that's V as in Victor. And yep, you guessed it again, phase 5. So the great thing about building out something like this is that starting from scratch, as long as you're forward thinking in the requirements, especially if it's associated with an order, you can build it out in a team for a project fairly easily. This one is the Army Vantage fielding, like I mentioned before. So I'll just take a couple of the requirements from the order. Okay. Bear with me, I'll navigate to that real quick. Okay. I'm gonna pull this off the screen. That's a little distracting. Okay, so one of the first requirements, and let's see, we said phase 1 and 2. The dates for these again. So that was through May. Okay, so like I was saying before, I'm going to go ahead and mark this complete. Phase 3, that's through the end of July. Okay, so this is the one that we want. And maybe I'll fill this in later, the phase 1 and 2 requirements, again, just for historical reference. But right now, I want to focus on these other ones. So as you can see as well, this is pretty intuitive. With rearranging the buckets, you just click, drag, and drop where you want it to be. At some point after I'm done building out the tasks under the different phases, or the requirements under the different phases, I'll probably move this bucket to the end. So whenever people log in here and click on this tab, then the first thing they'll see are the tasks that are associated with the phase that we're in right now. Implication there is that I'm actually going in and managing this actively, and that other individuals are as well, and updating tasks as they complete them. As they're assigned to them. All right, so the first one for phase 3 that I'm going to put in here is designate fielding manager. Okay, and this one was due by the 15th. So I'm going to click on add task. But what I'm wondering about right now, which I haven't fleshed out yet, so you get to watch me learn through experimentation, which again, like, part of doing this is simply that. So you know what? Let's make another label too that not blue. Let's make another label that's called order requirement, order task. We're going to call it order task. Okay, so now, as you can see, it has two categories associated with it. It's a phase 3 order task. Now we're figuring some stuff out. So what I would do too maybe is go into my documents again. Bear with me while I navigate to the order itself. I'll get the published order. Actually, let me get the Frago because that's the most recent. So you can see I pulled up the Frago, but I'm going to pull it off the screen right now. I'm going to go to the part in the order where it talks about the requirement for the fielding managers. Okay. And then basically I'm going to copy that paragraph and I'm going to put it in the notes. I'm not going to make sure that it shows on the card because then it'll fill up a lot of space. There's going to be a lot of tasks in the different buckets. So let's see. All right, so this was where I was going to experiment. So 3 core. I'm going to highlight this again because what I'm hoping is that as I put these in, no, it doesn't look like I can assign this to a certain individual. So what I might have to do is go and make buckets for every one of the requirements and then build out the tasks for each organization. So instead of saying phase 3 requirements, I'm going to call it something else. Designate fielding manager. Now, one of the questions that I'm wondering right now, I'm going to assign this to myself. Okay, that's fine. Oh. Okay, so again, phase 3 order task. Let me go back here and copy that information again out of the order. You don't have to get this elaborate, so I'm just showing you kind of what you can do. So maybe there's sub tasks associated with this task, and you would spell it out for them. So if it was like, hey, go buy peanut butter from the store, or how about like make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? So like one of the checklist tasks would be like go to the store and buy peanut butter and jelly and bread. So you know, drive home, make your sandwich. So this is where you can kind of help individuals, maybe if they're not familiar with how to complete a certain task, and you could build out a checklist so that we can kind of give them the breadcrumbs on how to get there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and attach the order. But actually, like I was saying before, I'll attach the Frago because that's a little bit more updated. I'm not going to show it on the card. There's no need. It's not really like a picture infographic kind of thing, since it's all text. So there's not really much point in showing it on the card as a thumbnail, because then the only shared understanding that you're conveying there is, hey, there's a file attached that has text. So then they're going to have to click on it anyway. All right, start date. Beginning of July. No. Okay, well, let me close out of this and see again. June. Okay, so it was June. All right. So that's one. I've assigned it to myself. Like every organization needs to designate a fielding manager. So since I'm a fielding manager for Third Corps, I assigned it to myself, and also just as an example for the video. So I'm not tagging anybody yet. Okay, I want to close that. Some of these tasks I may build out. Everybody except for one of the organizations has already identified a fielding manager. So that'll be one of the requirements. I need to rename this. So this one is going to be designate Vantage support lead. This has the same suspense, which is already passed. I'm going to assign it to myself, like I said before. Okay. Add task. I'll click on this, open it up. It was the beginning of June. Same timeline. So again, I'll build out from the order, the notes section, any checklist items if I feel like the individual needs a little bit more explanation on how to complete the task. Add the attachment, which again would just be that Frago, because that's the most updated portion. And then if you want to send a note, which I didn't mention this in the last one, if you want to send a note that's associated with this task, you could say, you know, hey, we're really behind on this. You know, please complete. But we're not anyway. So you can send something in the comments, and if you click send, then it's going to email it to the person's email that's associated with their account. All right, I almost forgot. Got to add the labels. And I like how it doesn't close it, so you have to like reopen it. I'll mark that as in progress so we can see what stuff is starting to look like on the charts tab. Okay. Good. How about we give it a summary title instead of literally typing in the whole thing? So, Okay. Next one is AV demos. Next one is HR admins trained. Next one is account managers trained. Next one is AV users trained. Next one is like a train the trainer kind of scenario. The fielding managers need to be able to train, but that's something that is later on. Okay, and then the last one is support leads as SMEs. Because they're going to be, this is for after we lose contract support. Okay, so these are all the tasks associated with the order. I'm going to go in here again, mark this as in progress so we can kind of see what's going on when we click on the charts. Okay, so based on the priority, and you know what, let's go back, because let's say, oh man, this one's already passed. So we need to change this. We need to change the priority on this. It needs to be like really important because this organization hasn't finished this yet. So we can kind of see how that builds out to different areas. So you can see right here, important is right there. So if you have a lot of tasks associated with a project that you're working on, then you can go through and prioritize the tasks and then hop in here and see what's coming up next. And you can kind of at least focus on prioritizing the whack-a-mole. And then you can see here, it builds it out by bucket. So it's saying all of the things. And then, so since I assigned it to myself, it's not showing up here. But as I assign the different tasks, and probably just to keep it simple, I'll assign the tasks to the fielding managers because they're the ones that are in charge of the overall fielding anyway. So as that happens, then you'll see I'll start to kind of build out those tasks to the different members instead of right now it's binning all the tasks in unassigned. So that's it. And then the other thing that you can see, so go ahead a little. Okay. So you see the tasks show up here. If they're in an area or a window of time, a time frame, then that's going to show up in these long banner blocks like this. But if it's just a certain day, maybe you just, maybe the designate fielding manager, what you would prefer to do is, let's just like get rid of that. Let's just, I mean, the start date is the thing, but here, you can always delete it, close that, and then it changes from a banner to a little dot here. And maybe for this, that makes a little bit more sense because we already have the phases that are the time blocks that everything's being completed. So, and then if you hold the mouse over it, don't click on it, it'll display the full name. And then these are the buckets over here. So maybe you're going through your schedule and you're like, oh, there's another task I need to do. Just click on add task so you can add it there. You don't have to do it from the board tab. So you could do it here. You do it in the charts tab. Okay, so this is just a way that you and your team can manage tasks for a specific project. As you can see, I just kind of scratched the surface and I need to build out a lot more because there are 13 different organizations that I'll need to create a task for in each one of these requirements. So this makes it easier too. So I still want it to be designate fielding manager. Plan name is the same, like all of this is the same, except like who I'm going to assign it to. So you don't want to click on assignment. Okay, so I'm going to click copy. It's not assigned to anybody yet, but I'm going to come in here and then I'm going to assign it to one of the other fielding managers that I definitely know. And since it's already complete, I don't want to, since this is just a demo video how you do this, and I don't want to necessarily like generate an email that goes to him, I'm going to go ahead and mark it as completed. Now it still may generate an email to him, but anyway, so I'll copy one more. Actually, no, I won't. But when each task gets completed, it'll start to like lump them in down here. And then if you need to see them, you can always click on that arrow to show them. And then the number goes up the more tasks that you complete. All right, that's it. Thanks for hanging in there. This was kind of a longer one, but I hope this is helpful. I think that will be helpful, especially if you're planning a project that has lots of subtasks or tasks associated with that project in a team that you're working with. So this is a really great way, not just for specific projects, but maybe to like manage ongoing tasks in your office as well.